Hi, it's Valerie with Bluebird Mercantile. I just thought I would pop in and do a little quick craft. So I found in my stash of things one of these floating frames. I don't know if you've seen them before. They come with these little clips and it's just a piece of glass with a backer. Really handy. You can do a lot with them. I'll show you a couple other things. But what I'm going to use today is I've gotten into my scrapbooking stash. Did any of you guys scrapbook, 20 years ago when our kids were little? I have all this paper. This is, was it Basil? I'm not sure, but it was really fancy and really expensive, and I still have lots of it. So I thought I'll take pieces of some of the scrapbook stuff, some of this frame that I found, and some of our transfers that I had parts left over of. This is the Japonica, which is just gorgeous. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it or not, but it has 2 geishas on it and all these beautiful flowers, great colors. So I had parts of this left over because I used parts on a chest. And I thought, what can I do? So I took the frame apart and I used the little inner piece and I used it as a template to cut out a piece of the cardstock. So what I'm going to do now is just decide with all the little pieces and parts I have left what I can use this for. What I'm going to do is take it, look at what I've got here, kind of think of the composition of the 1, 2, 3/3 rule. You want to kind of weight things in a picture, 2/3 to 1/3. So I'm going to use her a little bit to the edge here. And then I'm going to look at some of the flowers that I have. I have some of the, what are these? Cherry blossoms. And I think those would be good, but they're a little bit large. So looking at the scale to her, they might overpower it a bit. I might just pick out a few of the smaller ones and work those in. I kind of like the linear look of that branch. So I think what I'll do is cut this branch out. And use that as a starting point. Now I want it to end off the page. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there first. This paper is textured, which is kind of neat. It gives a little bit of a canvas feel to the transfer. So make sure I get it attached evenly. Go over it, turn over your paper, use that to burnish it with just a little bit. Nice, you can kind of feel it rubbing into that texture, and that's going to give it even more dimension. So now let's think about our geisha here. It's hard to tell for me when I'm looking at it with the grid and the white backing. I kind of have to let it be on the page. So I'm going to lightly put it down, just kind of look at what I like about the layout. I think what I'm going to do is put it right here. The one thing I love about the transfers is I have so many parts that I don't use that I have left over to make them, I think on average for me, because I usually don't use the same transfer just all out. I like to cut them apart and make them my own. I probably get 4 projects at least out of a transfer. If you're doing a big dresser or something, you're using the whole thing. That's, another story. But in general, I usually get, I like to use it more kind of as artwork. So, okay, so far you can see this is what we've got. The geisha, we've got the linear line here. If you think about Japanese flower arranging, there is always a linear line and then your flowers off of that. So I'm kind of using the same idea because your eye is going to want to go to that same type of design because we were used to seeing it with Japanese art, Japanese flowers. So I'm going to take some of the cherry blossoms. I'm going to go all the way to the edge with my branch. I like that. So see, we have just a little bit of a branch coming across. Let's see if maybe I need to add a few other things. Let's look at some of the brown that comes on this. It's just like engraved. I love this. I think it's so pretty. It's like chocolate colored. I'll cut off this little spot here. When you're cutting a transfer apart, sometimes I get excited and I just cut a chunk off and I don't think, but you should always try to cut it where you terminate. I should have cut all the way down here and terminated that stalk underneath that leaf. So now, if I just put that on something, it looked like what's missing. There's a piece sticking out the top of it, so I'll trim that off when I use it. But again, that's just a thing I thought of because it bugs me when I see little sticks and stalks like this coming out of it. I don't think I want to cover up too much of the dogwoods. I think they're awfully pretty. So what I'm going to do, and another tip I always find, if you're going to cut a piece of the transfer, always put a piece of the backer back on it, and that way it doesn't stick to your scissors. Found that out the hard way. So, I'm going to take a leaf. Yes, I said a leaf. See? Right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a little bit of this branch at the bottom so I can make it look like it's coming out from behind that leaf or that blossom. So I'll put that right there. And I'm also going to put a piece of the paper over here because I'm going to go off the edge and I don't want to get it stuck to my desk. So, there you go. Keep little bits and pieces of the backing paper. It's really handy. What I find is sometimes I'll have a bunch of leaves from one transfer and a bunch of leaves from another transfer where I use a lot of flowers. And then I put them all together and I'll either tape them to with painter's tape or even staple them to the backer paper. And so if I have some extra sheets, I can just put those all together there and use it that way. Another thing you can do is just, well, since my backer paper fell off right there, but you just pull it off that way. So there you go. So here we have just scraps. I made into a little picture. I'm going to take the frame, put it in there, put the glass back on, even it up. These little picture frames are so neat. You just put the little clips around the edge and there's a little hole in the back. You just put it down in, it holds itself with pressure. See what it looks like. So we just took a little frame. This could be any frame you have. I happen to have these floating frames, which I think are nice because they're so easy to work with. You can also stamp on these. You can put a transfer on paper underneath, and you can put a transfer on the glass and really layer them up. And that's all you need to do. If you need any transfers, bluebirdmercantile.com. I'm also on Etsy at Bluebird Mercantile Co. right now. For a limited time we're on Etsy with our IOD products, so if you'd like to go look on there. But we have everything on both websites. I ship it out the next day.